Question: what happens when 3 generational talents hit the draft this June? 3 players worthy of the top pick in nearly any recent class. Prospects capable of transforming a losing team overnight. Some teams would resort to stockpiling up picks, or maybe even lean into youth development in order to get these prodigies. But no one in their right minds would start taking in January, right? Because when the Wizards sat Trae Young just days after acquiring him with nearly 50 games still left, it didn't feel strategic, it felt intentional.
The NBA has to do something about its tanking issues.
And it needs to be serious punishment for these kind of actions.
Similar decisions were popping up around the league, and when the league finally stepped in, it made one thing clear. If it took that long to react, the issue had already grown bigger than anyone expected. Because when losing becomes the smartest move, the league has a problem. In the late 90s and early 2000s, the Miami Heat sat near the top of the league, finishing 5 straight seasons as a top 3 seed. Then the drop came fast. A 50-win contender slipped to 36 wins, then hit a franchise worst 25 the following year. But in the NBA, losing can be an investment. With the legendary 2003 draft approaching, Miami closed the season by losing 10 of their final 12 games, positioning themselves for lottery odds, leading to the final game of the year, the Heat versus the Toronto Raptors, where both teams had the same goal: lose. The NBA was wild back then. What followed was a full-blown tank-off, 2 struggling teams battling for better lottery odds. But in a shocking fourth-quarter comeback, Miami accidentally won. The result? Toronto picked 4th, Miami 5th, and both teams walked away with future Hall of Famers. One of the earliest moments of tanking, and the league took notice. Since then, tanking has risen in popularity. Before the 2020s, the whole load management for lottery odds idea wasn't even a thing. Now when a star gets hurt late into the season, teams don't rush him back. They quietly shut him down for the year. If you're looking at a turning point, the 2023 season might be it. Damian Lillard goes down late, and Portland shelves him for the final 10 games instead of making a push. Soon after, Dallas rests Kyrie Irving and several stars in a must-win game, strategically securing the 10th worst record and protecting their first-round pick. 2 separate front offices, one identical strategy. Lose now, benefit later. And with the generational talent about to enter the league, the incentive was obvious. That said, the presence of a generational prospect doesn't just impact the draft, it changes the entire league's behavior. Contenders keep pushing, but struggling teams start thinking bigger than the standings. Veterans sit, young players get extended runs, and losses become learning experiences. Because when that level of talent is coming, the NBA stops losing its spark and starts feeling more calculated. And if that feels familiar, it's because that's happening right now. Because if you haven't been living under a rock recently, you've probably seen the headlines of teams like the Jazz or Wizards getting fined for tanking. You're probably wondering, well, why are they getting fined? Teams do this every year, right? Well, yes, but not anytime remotely before All-Star break.
This is blatant, egregious tanking in February.
You probably picked up on the last few examples I provided that the teams often start to tank very late into the season. But when you start to tank not even halfway into the season, things start to become a problem, and the NBA begins to lose its integrity. Adam Silver has picked up on these occasions by finding the Jazz. You see, in early February, the Jazz purposely sat their whole entire starting lineup in the 4th, eventually coming out with the loss. Not to mention, the Wizards had a crazy trade deadline only to sit their stars in hopes for a top pick. Why are franchises willing to risk a season for one selection? The answer is simple. This year's draft class is different. This is AJ DeBoncha, a freshman who is leading the NCAA in points and already getting comparisons to guys like Tracy McGrady, a type of prospect that'd go about first pick in any other draft class, but not quite this one, because AJ may slip all the way to the 3rd pick. Going into this year, we were told this draft class would be generational, but we might need to set our expectations even higher. AJ's competition, Cam Boozer, is set to win National Player of the Year as a freshman, leading his team and putting up 20 and 10 every single night. And the crazy part, we still haven't even mentioned the number 1 prospect, Darren Peterson, a guard who can get buckets whenever and from wherever he wants on the court, dragging comparisons from top-tier analysts to the Black Mamba himself, Kobe Bryant. Any one of these guys can transform a team overnight, which is why teams are so incentivized to lose early. So yes, from a smart standpoint, it makes sense as to why teams are tanking, but at the same time, it's ruining the integrity of the NBA. But what if I told you there may be one way to stop tanking, and it's sitting right in front of us? And that's because another league already solved this. In 2012, the NHL ran into the exact same issue and proposed a fix that flipped the system on its head. Instead of punishing losing, they rewarded winning. It was called the Gold Plan. Once eliminated from playoff contention, every victory boosted your draft position. The PWHL implemented it in 2024 and saw huge success. At this point, it feels like the NBA is overdue for a similar change. It maintains real competition while fairly delivering top draft picks to rebuilding teams. That said, generational prospects will always tempt teams to take. That won't change. But if competition disappears before All-Star break, everybody loses. The NBA doesn't need harsher fines. It needs a smarter system.